Welcome, everybody, to a special episode of the Born to be Wild listener series. We are currently in Season 2, Week 2. My name is Nate Wolfe. I'm one of the hosts of Born to be Wild. I'm here with Hydralisk tonight, my co-host on the show.
How you everybody doing?
And we have a special guest with us, guest casting as well, who was on the show tonight. So NHLFan, you won't see his handsome face, but he is here in the background as well. NHL, welcome.
Thank you. You're giving me a bit too much credit. I think you're protecting the audience for my face, but we'll pretend that I'm handsome. Sure.
Love it. Okay, you guys. So quickly to go over the rules of what is this listener series. The format here is last hero standing. For those people who are not familiar with this, it is a little bit different than the normal Conquest format. I'm going to go over the rules really briefly so that everyone's familiar. Both players start by choosing 3 decks. So bring 4, ban 1. You may only have 1 class each, so a total of 3 different classes. Each player chooses a deck to start with. The choice is hidden from their opponent. Combat proceeds as normal. The way that this differs from Conquest is that any deck that is defeated is eliminated, and the next deck is chosen. Any deck that is victorious remains on the board and is to be used in the next match. So if you win with a deck, you play with it again in the next match. The goal is to eliminate all of your opponent's decks. So the victor of the entire match is the one who eliminates all 3 of their opponent's decks. One thing that we were talking about right before this match started was the importance of queue order and, expecting to see perhaps the strongest deck start first. Definitely different than what we're used to with Conquest. The other thing that we're doing special in this listener series is that there are weekly deck building restrictions. And so for this week, the theme was Phoenix Rising. These are essentially Ashes of Outland decks, but with some restrictions. So those restrictions are decks must contain at least 15 minions. For those people asking, part of the reason behind that is because last season we would do a theme, for example, hey, it's Death Rattle Week, it's Dragon Week. And what we would see is players bring no dragons, only spells, and then we'd see Token Druid in Death Rattle Week or in Dragon Week. And so trying to avoid that, there was a requirement of minions. Players are allowed to use weapons and spells and hero cards. The big restriction this week is that players can only use cards from the following sets: the Legacy set, the Core set, Rise of Shadows, Saviors of Uldum, Descent of Dragons, Demon Hunter Initiate, and Ashes of Outland. Before we get started, taking a quick look at the decks that each player brought. So first up, I've got Oddlaw. He brought a Warrior, Demon Hunter, Hunter, and Rogue. His Warrior deck was banned. This is a pretty aggressive Demon Hunter, a Dragon Hunter, and then a Galakrond Rogue. And then quickly looking over at Bane's deck. He has got a Highlander Hunter, a Highlander Mage that was banned, a Murloc Paladin, and a Quest Malygos Warlock. These are some definitely like off-meta decks. This is pretty fun. Hydra or NHL, do you have any thoughts about the deck lists before we get the matches started?
You can take this, NHL. You got any opinions here?
I gotta say, Oddlaw knows what he's doing with banning the Highlander Mage. That has to go in this kind of format. In a last hero standing format, you can sweep with a single deck, and the Mage is by far the best deck in this kind of format. The only kind of archetype that beats it is Hunter. Okay, Hunter deck beats Highlander Mage, but if you beat Hunter, nothing is stopping that Mage whatsoever, so it had to go. Looking at the rest of the lineup, I do like the variety of decks from Bane. I think it makes him pretty evenly spread across the field. He has a sweeper. He has 2 counters, really, with the Murloc Paladin and the Malygos Warlock. Meanwhile, Oddlaw seems to have gone more for the aggressive strategy. That's his bread and butter. So I do think that's playing into his strengths, and that can be super useful. We see an Aggro Demon Hunter, which is really good against other aggro decks, surprisingly. Okay, so this will bully out other aggro decks and serves as a pseudo control deck. We have a pure face deck in Dragon Hunter over here. Oddlaw did make a sacrifice due to restrictions and is running only 1 Stormhammer, but that's okay. This deck still goes face and it hits hard, and we're going to see that quite a bit tonight. And this this Galakrond Rogue is kind of the best of both worlds with a bit of a high roll potential. You know, you have Heist Baron's Hogwaggle and Galakrond the Nightmare. Both of those cards are insane tempo swings when you play them, because when you draw a bunch of 0 mana cards and play them, you're doing who knows what. The other thing I'm kind of disappointed in with this build is I wanted to see an Edwin Van Cleef, but I can also understand cutting it, given how powerful Questing Adventurer is in this kind of archetype. I think this is going to be kind of Oddlaw's last-ditch effort if he comes, you know, facing down in the hole, needing to get that one deck through against the rest of his opponent's lineup. So it'll be interesting to see how he does here.
I'm very interested to see in what they choose to bring first. If this was you and you were Oddlaw, what do you think you would start with?
So if I were Oddlaw, it's tough to say. I know that Bane is going to be bringing his sweeper deck because he doesn't really have a certain deck that he wants to start with. So I'm expecting Hunter. And if I'm expecting Hunter, Hunter kind of goes even against the whole field. So I'm just going to go with Comfort. Oddlaw likes aggressive decks, and I think Demon Hunter fits what he wants to do the most. So I think we're going to see Demon Hunter from Oddlaw first. I wouldn't be surprised if this is an aggro Demon Hunter versus Highlander Hunter matchup for game 1.
And you called it. Look at this. Hey, the game is starting right now. We do see Oddlaw bringing the aggro Demon Hunter against that Highlander Hunter of Bane.
Awesome.
Yeah, so looking at these hands, Bane has a turn 1 play. He really just wants to curve out, which you'd love to see. As for Oddlaw, he's in a bit of a pickle because he's on the coin and he has a turn 1 play in Bone Chewer Brawler and can play the Beaming Sidekick on it. But he also may want to get rid of the Gennard Glavesmith. That's the one card I'm looking at wondering, does he keep it? Because he adds a good turn 3 play, but maybe he wants to go for other things. One thing's for sure, he's going to want to toss that Altruis. And we see it tossed right there.
Battle Mage played turn 1. Very obvious but strong play.
Oddlaw has a few options here. He could coin the Bone Chewer Brawler to contest the 2/2. His Battle Fiend is kind of in an awkward spot. He could play it and coin out the Beaming Sidekick with it so that it's stickier. I do think we'll see something coined out. I just don't know what. Oddlaw is probably thinking the same as well. We could also
see the Bone Chewer Brawler does come down.
Yeah, so unfortunately for Oddlaw, Bane has the answer with that Corrosive Breath. He's just going to clear it and go face, dealing 5 damage in the process. Good start for Bane. You really want to see this kind of curve.
Twin Slice to take out the Battle Mage.
Yeah, this is just clean for Oddlaw here. He gets a 2/2 himself, develops and removes stuff. You know, he's going to have to swing the board. Right now, he's on the back pedal. Yes, he controls the board, but Bane is on the play. So, it'll be difficult. Bane still has a few options here as well.
Get opt into giving a Divine Shield.
Yeah. I do like this play from Bane because that Fairy Dragon is very difficult to deal with. And that guarantees that the Battle Fiend gets cleared at some point.
Hey, I got you, friend.
Oddlaw's going to do his best to make this Battle Fiend as sticky as possible, though, it seems. The Beaming Sidekick really helps hold down the Battle Fiend, and it's just going to grow and snowball more and more. But again, Bane has the answer. That's the thing with this Hunter deck. It just kind of curves out, as we see.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. He's got such a nice curve here. It really is successfully contesting the board at every turn.
Yeah, that's just what this Hunter deck does. It curves out and then wins the game with that curve. If you have the curve, you're unstoppable. It doesn't matter what the Demon Hunter does. You're just going to have a hard time keeping up. And eventually, because you have a lower curve, you're going to fall behind.
Unfortunately, Oddlaw doesn't have any minions to play this turn to contest the board. but can choose how he wants to get rid of this fairy dragon.
The real issue Oddlaw is facing right now is that Consume Magic sitting on the far left. It's completely useless this turn, and we don't even know if it's going to be useful next turn. Yeah, we do see a Tailwind Forward Ring in Bane's hand, but he doesn't have to play a 5/5 Divine Shield just yet if he doesn't want to. Go with the Evasive Feywing and put more pressure too. And there's even the Zixor to remove the 1/1. What do you think he does here?
I feel like the more aggressive play would be to play the Evasive Feywing.
Yeah, you know he didn't have a minion to play. So it does signal that, the card drawn is either Skull of Gul'dan or the Cobalt Spellkin. I don't think you really worry about that though. The Feywing does contest it well. He chooses to go with the Talon though.
And we'll get silenced for that.
I Consume Magic really paying off here. I don't know if Oddlaw wants to play that Umberwing. This is an awkward turn for the Umberwing, if you ask me, because it means you can't clear the Talon and drop the Amani Berserker on the same turn.
Yeah.
It's time for a little blood.
Either you're committing to going face, or you're not playing the Umberwing.
And he chooses to use his face, as the saying goes, minions go face and face go minions.
Yes. This is a really nice curve from Bane still. Even though the Talon didn't pick anything up, he has 2 3-drops. He gets a 4/4 taunt. That's just excellent. Oddlaw hates to see that, and he can clean some more things up with the Zixor now. One is gone. Oddlaw facing some tough choices though.
It's taking a lot of damage clearing these minions.
Yeah, the nice thing is he's kind of keeping up because he's also sending some of that damage face. Do this for so long before he has to just focus on getting past Bane's curve.
Bane has had an amazing curve so far this game.
Yeah, that's kind of just what this Hunter deck does. It curves out and then it kills you with Bran. Or, in this case, Alex. That's
An efficient trade.
Yeah, and that's another taunt that Oddlaw has to find a way around. Gotta rip the Cobalt Spellkin. Philosophy is not what you want to see. Twin Slice helps a little bit. That's you clear, but you're still taking more damage.
Yeah, that Circus Amalgam really hurts there. That's a lot to get through.
Yeah, and he still has, the Zixor and the Explorer on the board. It really makes things difficult.
Job done.
It's like Oddlaw is going for the value trade. He enrages the Amani Berserker, which means that the Explorer on Bane's side doesn't trade well with it now.
No. But he's almost forced to use it on the Berserker here unless he's going to... now he can clear the Spellkin and he can go use his face to take out the Berserker.
If I'm being honest, I don't even think I want to trade into the Spellkin. You have your opponent on the ropes.
It's true. Only 10 health left.
Yeah, he may choose to just trade into the Berserker with the 2/3, kill it off, and sending 3 damage to face. Yeah, JVJV DD on the side. Mentioning Oddlaw has done a pretty well job considering Bane's curve. Yeah, Bane has just curved out this game just the way he's wanted to. That's kind of what this deck does. As we can see, you know, that curve is just so overwhelming. Dragons are very strong. And it doesn't really matter what the Demon Hunter does. It missed one turn, and that was it. It's been playing from behind since.
Mm-hmm. And now with only 7 health left, Oddlaw's on the play.
Yeah, there's not much to do here. He's got 1 cost minions in his hand and a philosophy that doesn't copy anything. You're just forced to trade, but this doesn't feel good.
Now with Bane, we'll see what Bane draws here. Tracking. Ooh.
That can end the game on the spot.
Right now, yeah. And we get Bran. There we go. Dino Tamer Bran's gonna come down.
Yeah, that's game 1.
Game 1. Congratulations, Bane on the win there. So the Highlander Hunter prevails.
Yeah, and as we see, you know, when that Hunter hits its curve, it's very hard to beat.
It was very, very strong. Very strong draws, very strong curve. Good play on both sides. Oddlaw did a very good job trying to keep up there.
Yeah, Nate, what do you think about that game?
That was pretty incredible. I mean, like you guys were mentioning, that was a tricky spot to be in. I mean, we saw Oddlaw only get behind by 1 turn, and it just got out of control. I mean, these dragons curve out so nicely that I don't think that there was much that, you know, he could really do. And he played really well considering, but he was playing from behind the whole time.
Yeah, it was really hard for Oddlaw in most of those positions, like, you know, being on the coin, missing a turn 4 play. It was just unfortunate draws that just kept putting him further and further behind. And then finally, you know, as the deck does, finished him off with Dino Tamer Bran.
Yeah, that tracking really came in clutch. I mean, it was like, hey, find lethal. There you go.
Yeah, and now Oddlaw has to worry about Bane getting that curve 2 more times. He may have to overcome it if he wants to finish it.
So they're queuing back up, and we're going to see now a Hunter Mirror here. And again, the way that this format works is that the winner queues the same deck.
It looks like Bane is going to be on the play again. Oddlaw has a very good start here with double Imprisoned Velmaw and the Dwarven Sharpshooter.
There's the curve we were looking for, hey?
Yeah.
He chooses to throw back the Dwarven Sharpshooter.
So this doesn't surprise me all that much because he wants to go coin Imprisoned Velmaw into Imprisoned Velmaw. Velmaw around this time was actually one of the best cards, if not the best card, in the deck in the first 3 turns.
It is such a strong card. I won't be surprised if that's exactly what we see here. Yep. Coin into Velmaw.
Yeah, it's just such a strong turn 1 play. Now, this card is nicknamed Face Maul for a reason, too. It says random. It says random, but it always goes face. Random.
Yes. Randomly goes face.
Yes. There's that dragon, too, for Oddlaw. That's going to be coming in clutch. It was interesting to see that Bane decided to hold the Zephyrus turn 2. Didn't want to go for the wild growth play.
Yes, I was wondering if I was assuming the wild growth play would have been the play there. You get board presence along with the wild growth, but chooses to opt out. And it makes the trade. The Velmaw hits the Primordial Explorer, which is in best case for Bane to take that out there.
It randomly hit the Explorer in the face.
Yes, it got some sort of face.
Yeah, close enough.
We'll see where the next one goes. And trades as well.
Yeah, if you're Bane, you love to see it because that's putting Oddlaw behind a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and astounding there. That was certainly astounding for sure.
See what secret we get? Explosive Trap comes down.
All right, that explosive trap is going to be pretty useful later on. Not because it deals with the minions, but because this hunter just needs the burn.
Yes.
Like Bane getting value off of his even Dragonsmith here, going with the Desert Spear play. Wasn't the ideal hit. Really, you wanted to see Stormhammer because that Stormhammer then keeps its durability.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you fear that the explosive trap is up, do you feel like it is a good play to try to trigger it earlier? Where Bane could have swung face?
You don't worry about it too much on Oddlaw side. You know it's going to get activated eventually. Bane is not really considering, face right now. Going face achieves nothing. Getting the 1/1 doesn't do anything because it's going to get traded off, right?
Yeah.
Notice how he goes for the trade here. Because he's going to get value out of his rushers this time, the 1/1s. If he just goes face, pings for 1, he loses a 1/1, and he loses the whole point of his Desert Spear.
Mm-hmm.
If you're better off just going for the play with the Varanus here, then swinging the turn before. You can worry about the secret later.
Looks like Oddlaw with the Corrosive Breath. Very good play. Just going to continue to push face at this point. Bane is quite low.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Oddlaw knows where to go. Face is the place.
Mm-hmm.
Bane, missing his curve. We see what happens when this deck doesn't curve out. Doesn't feel as unstoppable as it did before.
Yeah, that curve is really important. And we'll see the Talon forwarding coming down to hope to stall out the game a little bit here to protect his face.
Yeah, it'll only do so much, though. We see just more and more trading. Bane kind of in a position where he's on a clock because, we know what the secret is right now. We know that it's going to do 2 damage to him, and Bane doesn't have any healing. So
Nope.
He basically has to win this turn or lose the game.
With the deck building restrictions in this, there is no Reno Jackson.
Yeah, and that means it's basically this turn or bust.
Mm-hmm.
Run Alexstrasza, or any Alexstrasza, actually.
I would have to take another look at the list. I do not recall if Alexstrasza was in this deck list.
Nate, do you have the lists up?
Let me pull them up real quick. I've got them up on the other screen. I don't believe they're running it, but the potential is definitely there. I mean, they're allowed to run it. Give me 1 second. Let me look.
Yeah. Because that would have been the out with Talon on the board there. Talon Ford Ring would have to draw an Alexstrasza so that they can heal their face. Either by 8 health or by up to 15 health.
Yeah, and it drew the Bran, so the Bran was the highest cost minion.
Which makes sense because we discounted all our dragons in deck with
Yes, that's right. With the Frizz Kindle Roost.
yes. Okay, so they do run Alexstrasza the Lifebinder, so they missed that card. So they have one more turn, it seems, to pull that.
17 cards in the deck. Oh, wrong Alexstrasza.
Well, there's a chance
what
that they
we
can
got.
high roll. Yeah, looks like they're going for it. What are those? I see a Nozdormu there.
Yeah.
Happy
Spicy.
Nozdormu Day for those on the East Coast, by the way.
Well played.
Being the 15th.
Well played.
Alright, this one will go to Oddlaw. Even it up.
Wow, that was fast. I mean, it was really interesting, NHL. I think you put it well, where the game that we saw last, where Bane's Hunter curved out so nicely and felt unstoppable was like almost the opposite in this game, where Oddlaw's I almost feel like it's a face hunter, but Dragon Hunter was just so strong and so fast that Bane was on a clock almost immediately. And I don't know, I was kind of surprised even that his early game strong minions like kept attacking into other minions, which is not what he was looking for. Still won very quickly. And again, the idea that you mentioned that Highlander Hunter, when it doesn't curve out nicely, it just doesn't quite have the steam that it did last game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, like, Oddlaw now is the curve deck, right? Except he's just a bit more aggressive with his Dragon Hunter. So, if he misses, then Bane can take advantage of that with his other decks. But it'll be very hard. I think he's going to go with his Paladin next, because the Warlock has a very hard time against Hunters as well.
And Paladin it is.
Look at that. These guys know what they're doing.
Good call, good call.
Oh, and that is a buffed Toxic Reinforcements, by the way.
Oh, yes, with the 2/1 Leper Gnomes now.
That's right.
Yep.
It might be too slow here, though. Being an aggro deck, you're going to want to get bored pretty early on.
Yes.
I know the card gets worse as the game goes on, but you can't really let Murloc snowball either.
No, and we get turn 1 Murloc coming down for Bane. So it's either the Toxic Reinforcements or the coin into Imprisoned Felmaw, which we'll see the Imprisoned Felmaw come down.
Yeah, see, this is why, the Toxic Reinforcements is a suspicious keep here. You don't really want to play it early on. It's only good in the late game, and it's only good against slower decks.
Yes, against another aggro deck, it is definitely a toss.
But Oddlaw is not being punished because his top decks are godly. So, I'm curious to see what Bane does here. He has a few options.
Yeah. The Murloc War Leader comes down. Oh, and we get face from the Imprisoned Felmaw.
Oh, there we go. Face small makes its triumphant return. Now,
So
this
we'll
is,
get reinforcements here.
yeah. The other plays from Oddlaw are a bit awkward here.
Yeah, the Scale Rider didn't trade with anything. The 2 damage, it just doesn't take anything out at that point.
Right. And that's the big problem here. So Bane can just develop more and do whatever he wants. He can very easily deal with the Imprisoned Felmaw here. He has a Rusher in hand. He can also
That'll
make the board wider.
Mm-hmm. I think that's gonna go. Yeah, he's going to take out the Imprisoned Felmaw.
Reporting for duty.
Goes for the hero power. Like this. Make it as unlikely that Felmaw hits face
Yeah,
possible.
War Leader down.
Well, fortunately for Oddlaw, his Scale Rider does something now.
It does.
That 1/1.
That turn 1 Mermy, it's still kicking though.
Yeah, Hand of Adal is a good card.
It is. It's a really good card. Freezing Trap, Hero Power Pass.
Interesting we see the Freezing Trap here.
You think he's trying to bait the Mermy or what?
Doesn't really matter what he baits, because here Bane has to trade with the 1/1, right? So that's going to go back in hand. And then the only way that the Felmaw doesn't stick is for Bane to trade with it anyway.
And Bane's gonna send everything face.
Yeah.
Putting Oddlaw all the way down to 8.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that he just doesn't care about the Felmaw. Ships it all to the dome.
I mean, he really has Oddlaw on the clock here, and he has that surprise old Murloc out of hand. So he does have a little bit of burst.
Yeah, he is at 6 mana now. So he can get 7 or this is just lethal.
Oh yeah, he has 2 Murlocs, 2 Toxfins, and the old Murloc.
Yeah. So Bane will take the second game.
Astounding. Thank you.
Well played.
Very astounding. No one
So
except old Murloc.
Yeah. So Oddlaw's Hunter is out, leaving the Galakrond Rogue.
A really fast match there. I told these guys to queue up whenever they're ready, so I expect we'll see it pretty soon. Really, though, heads up plays by both people, and it was really interesting to see just some of the thinking ahead of times in terms of counting lethal from hand.
Mm-hmm.
I will fight with honor.
And now we just have Oddlaw's Galakrond Rogue, which is basically the Hail Mary, like we were discussing at the start of this. Oh, look at that golden tiny fin in Bane's hand.
So cute.
You love to see it. Can you believe some people think you shouldn't run that in Cute Block just because of Zephyrus? It's the most threatening minion. Come on. He even has his own sword.
Does he have a sword?
He does.
He does. Yeah, I do recall he does have a sword. That's adorable.
Oh, Oddlaw has 2 different plays he can make. He goes with the Feral Cat first, opting to get the Reborn minion. That's a really good one for his curve, by the way.
Yes. And we'll see that come down.
Yeah, the imprisoned Murloc here is insane on turn 1 because he's going to get a board in a box by turn 3.
Yeah.
And when those are summoned, it actually counts towards his Murloc Tidecallers. So a lot of synergy there. He's also setting up for the Cold Light Seer, so he can make a big board there. And then Oddlaw will probably have a really hard time dealing with it.
We're going to see Oddlaw want to take out those Tide Callers here before they get out of control.
Yeah, I do like this a lot from him. Interesting that he chose to use the backstab there instead of trading off. Looks like he's looking to value trade later on instead and values the base damage more now.
That Cold Light Seer is going to make everything a lot stickier.
Yeah, just very straightforward turn from Bane, and now Oddlaw is facing some challenges and dealing with his board. Outside of the plays from hand, there are some cute things he can do with trading on the board. If he decides to trade the Grand Mummy into a 2/3, his Pharaoh Cat will also become a 2/3. And that will to trade with whatever minion he traded in with the Grand Mummy first.
Yes. Going to choose to take out the Cold Light Seer.
Going for exactly that play. And playing with the Spy Mistress here.
Choosing to use it on the Grand Mummy to try to high roll on a 3-drop. Unfortunately, get a 2/2 of a Cabal Courier out of it.
Yeah, but this is more tempo. Bane is just in a great spot right now. He's on the play. Board is even. He has Murlocs. These guys are going to snowball. fast. And you can value trade here too. That's just going to make it even harder for Oddlaw to come back on the board now. He can use his weapon to trade, but it's going to be very awkward. Bane's just also going to get a card in hand. These Divine Favors are kind of dead. Not ideal. It's a very good pickup, though.
Mm-hmm. We'll slow Bane down here a little bit with the Shield of Galakrond.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see some trading here, too.
Yep.
By Mistress into a 1-2. Face into a 2-1.
Now, War Leader, and we'll see this Rusher come down here. And the Rusher can just straight up trade evenly with the Shield of Galakrond, allowing Bane to push face.
And that's 7 damage. Oddlaw tanks. Oddlaw choosing to go with the Devoted Maniac here first. Looks like he just wants to get rid of the War Leader.
Yeah.
Also gets the weapon up for a future trade. But Bane is looking to buff a pretty sizable board of Murlocs. That's just going to make it harder on Oddlaw here.
It's a very good board, and Bane has draw coming up too, depending on how much Oddlaw can get out of his hand here.
Oddlaw is just going to have to scam somehow. It's got to start somewhere.
Give me a quest.
I don't know if I would go with Questing Adventurer here. It allows him to make a big minion and possibly trade it with his Rush Lackey. But there's not all that much he can do otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
As we see, the rogue spell pool from Innet Discover was not ideal. He got stuck taking a Sinister Strike, which is a bit
Yeah.
this matchup.
Unfortunately, the weapon can't take out any of the Murlocs.
Yeah, and now Bane is 1 damage off of lethal. 10 damage on board. 12 or 2 more damage in hand with Hand of a Doll. He can get 1 more. It's getting close.
Trying to decide whether to draw or... I mean, he could do both. He could drop, but what does he want to try to play Divine Favor first and see what he gets?
I wonder.
Probably thinking of right now and trying to see if he has any outs. Could draw into the second hand, I believe.
And we get the second hand of a doll.
Holy cow, you guys! Wow, out of nowhere! Oh my goodness! Wow, wow! Talk about play to your outs. Okay, I'm just watching with bated breath here.
Well played, Bane. That was great.
Well played, indeed.
A 3-1 win for Bane over Oddlaw. Congrats to them.
Yes, congrats, Bane.
I'm gonna check real quick with them and see if they're interested in chatting with us at all.
Sounds good.
All right, welcome you guys. Joining us, we've got Bane and Oddlaw. Good games, you guys. Those were really fun to watch.
Yeah, no, I think I was pretty lucky there. Wasn't expecting to win that one, but thanks so much to Oddlaw. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, those were some fun decks too, you guys. How did you, what did you think of this week overall in terms of deck building? How did you come up with your decks?
Yeah, I guess it's pretty similar to the standard meta from about a year ago now. So personally, I kind of just went for the Syndicate meta report of the time, and Highlander, Hunter, and Mage were seemed to be the good decks after the nerfs towards the end of that expansion. And Murloc Paladin. So I was pretty happy when I didn't have to use my quest walk. And And but yeah, I also I had a feeling that Oddlaw would bring some aggro decks, so I tried to bring some control decks to try and counteract that.
They definitely worked out in your favor. That last game we were watching, to see if you were so close to having lethal, if you were gonna try to draw to find it, and that clutch like Hand of a Doll off the top.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at my tracker and I thought there's probably one card that costs 2 mana that will get me an extra damage. So I was super lucky there, for sure. I think even in the previous game, only having lethal by one, exact lethal basically. That game definitely could have swung around for sure. I thought I definitely drew pretty well at the start of games. I think as well. I wasn't feeling like I had nothing to play, so I think that was great. Yeah, I was pretty lucky there too.
Yeah, GG's. Well, and we saw those two Felmaw challengers, I think they're called, come down, and then they, rather than going face, they both like crash into the minions as well. So
I had that little poisonous 2/3 as well.
right.
Yeah.
Hey, Oddlaw, welcome. Good games.
Yeah, GG's.
Hydra or NHL, you got any questions for these guys?
I was going to ask Oddlaw, what was your inspiration and how did you go about building your decks, Oddlaw?
I play a lot of aggro decks.
Yeah, we can see that. Yeah, I love aggro myself. So
I play a lot of aggro decks in decent legend ranks most of the time. And I was like looking over the cards, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of pirates here. There's a Leroy. There's Demon Hunter. Being Demon Hunter, and I was like, I'm just gonna do an aggro lineup and just try and like smoke my way through. And I was like, oh, Galakrond Rogue's pretty cool, but I don't own Kronks. And I was like, oh, I probably won't need him anyway. Probably was the wrong call. Probably did need the board clear from Kronks. But basically my lineup was Demon Hunter sweep, and then when Demon Hunter lost, I didn't really know what to do. Because when I was theory crafting and I was like, Demon Hunter should win every matchup except maybe like a warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw the first game. We saw Curvestone triumph, and I was like, yep, that's how the game goes. And from there, it was just all downhill.
Yeah, well, it happens. We when we were analyzing your lineup there, that's the same thing we were thinking. The Demon Hunter sweep seemed to be the game plan there.
Yeah, I never actually played standard or the game. I took a break from the game during this meta, which is like Ash's meta, sort of, like June last year meta. And I looked over a lot of the VODs, and a lot of them had like this Tempered Demon Hunter, and then like the Quest Warlock and the Highlander Hunter. They were like the three decks that started popping up a lot. And then Galakrond Rogue a little bit after that as well. But the Tempered Demon Hunter just seemed like such a monolith of a deck that I was like, I gotta bring it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we thank you a lot for letting us cast your match there. Do you have any questions, NHLFan, for either of these guys?
Were you thinking of targeting anything, or were you just playing to your strengths when building your lineups? I know with Hero, it's a bit different from Conquest, where you're not necessarily targeting one deck, and sometimes you're just accounting for multiple different strategies. Your mindset when approaching the deck building in these lineups, if there was any.
Yeah, sure, I can go first. For me, yeah, I definitely heard Oddlaw. I knew he was a really good player. I knew he would have a Twitter account. I went and looked at that, and first thing it says is loves aggro decks. So I thought, he's gonna bring aggro decks.
Research, I love it.
But I think for me, I think he definitely banned the mage deck that he banned. I think was definitely the best control deck that I had. And I think he also brought a warrior, which had a wrench caliber, I think, in it, which I think would have been pretty bad against mine. Keep going to say Reno decks, but I guess it's not Reno decks in this format. Highlander decks. So yeah, that's kind of how I went about it. I guess I was lucky that I was a bit more of an unknown. I guess. Sure.
Yeah, there was no information on you. I didn't know what to snipe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's great.
With this week, there's probably one of the more like free weeks when it comes to lineup building. Like last week was a bit of a mess, so like you have to really build some suboptimal decks. Whereas this week it was very like you can build almost constructed level decks, and so it became more about what to target and more of that strategy rather than just building a good deck, because there was a lot of good decks you could have built. I think it's really hard with Last Hero Standing to build a strategy around a specific deck, because after that specific deck is done, or if you lose with it or something, it's like your whole strategy falls apart. So you just kind of have to build a generally strong lineup that can hold its own. Whether you take the control route, which is, I think, what I'd say Bane kind of took, is a more control deck route, especially with like the Quest Warlock. And then I took like the aggressive route, but it's a very similar idea, I think.
Very interesting. I'm sure a lot of people would find a lot of insight into these ideas and strategies, and it's really good to apply them into future weeks, as well as just in general for anyone considering to play in these kinds of series. So thank you for that, both of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for letting us cast your match. It was absolutely a lot of fun. Thank you for talking to us afterwards. We're gearing up to sign off here. Oddlaw, I know you're pretty active on social media. Where can people find you if they want to follow your content, whether it's Twitter or any sort of Twitch or whatever?
Yeah, I'm on Twitch. I haven't streamed in a while. I've kind of taken a back foot on the streaming, but I'm on Twitch at Oddlaw_HS, and then I'm on Twitter. My tag's OddlawH. I'm more active on Twitter. I normally post every few days, so when I have a good result in Legend or something like that. Twitch is when I feel like streaming. So yeah.
Very cool. Bane, what about you? Are you on social media anywhere? Are you streaming, or are you just playing in this for fun?
Yeah, no, I don't stream. I occasionally post things to Twitter. My thoughts on Hearthstone. It's just Baney64 is my hashtag. I just want to also say thanks to you guys. This has been a really fantastic experience. First week and this week, a lot of fun to get the. I really like the deck building format, and I can see that you guys are putting a ton of work behind the scenes. So thanks very much for that.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And yeah, this has been a lot of fun. If you guys are interested in seeing your opponent's hand or listening to our commentary on it, this will be up on YouTube tomorrow. So again, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight. We will be continue to do this each week. For those people who are watching, this format, it goes 5 weeks of deck building challenges. They're scored each week, and then we've got 3 weeks of playoffs. There is a prize pool. We had some really generous donors donate $750 to a prize pool, and so the top 4 will have prizes. And so this whole thing is really exciting. It's been a fun opportunity. Hydra, thank you for hanging out tonight, and NHL, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight and for this surprise treat in casting with us. It's been a blast.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on, NHL. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I was able to make a few shout outs and hopefully help people get better. I've done quite a bit of casting, but it's nice to do it with a few different people in a slightly different format than what I'm used to. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty fun there. And
you're quite good at it, I have to say. It's very refreshing. It's fun, and you did a great job. Really liked having you.
Thank you.
Before we exit real quick, where can people find you?
Easiest place is Twitter, NHLFan1_HS. I'll be around on Twitch usually. I don't stream, but you'll find me in all different kinds of chats. So Twitter is probably the easiest place. Otherwise, I'll usually have like decks. I don't post too much on Twitter, but I'll have a deck maybe once or twice a month. You'll see my tweets are a bit spread apart, and I try to Not stay on Twitter too much, but if you ever want to hit me up, I'm around. So.
Very,
Cool.
very cool. Hey, thanks again. And thank you to everyone in chat for watching. Corbett, thank you very much for the giant raid. And, we really enjoyed getting to hang out with everyone. I really appreciate you watching. And if you guys are interested in watching more, we do a show called Born to be Wild. It's a Wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast. We record live every Friday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. We do have a very active community here. We do have a Discord. The link is in chat right now, or you can go to our website, which is borntobewildhs.com, and all of our links, all of the show information is there. Thank you again so much, everybody. We are done for this evening, and we will pass the love over to Slizzle, who is playing some Wild Hearthstone right now.
Sounds great.